All right, welcome back to the Deep Dive. So today we're tackling a question that I think, well, I think pretty much everyone wrestles with.
Mm.
It's that tension, between wanting to be safe and wanting to be free. We all want to be healthy, successful, protected.
Of course. But we also want the freedom to do whatever we want. It's the classic trade-off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the source we have today, it offers this really counterintuitive answer. It suggests the reason we fail, the reason we feel unsafe, is that we just fundamentally misunderstand freedom.
It's a fascinating perspective. The argument is that true freedom and your actual protection, it comes from restriction, from finding your place and, well, staying there.
Which is just so backward to how we normally think.
It is. We're looking at a speech here. It's titled, "Let Us Protect Ourselves," delivered by Reverend Sun Myung Moon back on May 1st, 1982.
And what struck me is that it reads less like a sermon, It's more like a structural analysis,
Yeah.
like a lecture on engineering or physics.
Totally. He's using the biology, politics, even the space shuttle to argue that protecting yourself isn't about building walls. It's actually about submitting to something larger.
So our mission today is to really unpack that. We're going to get into his idea of position, the strategy he calls home church.
Which involves a lot of door knocking. A lot.
Right. And then this really radical idea at the end that it's actually God who needs to be liberated by us.
So let's start with that first concept, the geometry of it all.
Yeah, he opens with this idea that you can't exist in isolation, that whenever a person says the word I, it's not just I.
That's the key. He says the word I is like grammatically deceptive. When a student says I, it automatically includes their school. When a member of his church says I, it includes the church.
He has this visual for it.
The concentric circles, exactly, like a target.
And the individual is just that tiny dot right in the very center.
Correct. And then you have these layers around it. The family, then society, nation, the world, and finally the cosmos.
He points out something kind of funny here, too. He says humans are the only ones who are obsessed with being that center dot.
Right. Monkeys, dogs, cats, they're not having an existential crisis about being the center of the universe.
No.
Only humans have that desire. And the text says that's what makes us supreme, but it's also our biggest trap. Because if we try to be the center in isolation, that's where everything goes wrong.
And this is where we get that first really vivid analogy, the eye on the arm.
Ah, yeah. That one's memorable.
I mean, when I first read it, I kind of laughed, but it's actually a pretty disturbing image if you think about it.
It really is. He says, imagine if your eye got tired of being in your head. It wants freedom, a change of scenery. So it decides, I'm going to move to the arm.
Okay, so strictly speaking, it is now free from the eye socket. It's liberated itself.
It's free, but is it useful? Is it happy? He says no, it's completely useless. It's not connected right. It's vulnerable. And while it looks grotesque, it is out of position.
And that leads to the much darker analogy he uses, the tumor.
Yeah, this one carries a lot of weight in the text. He says if you step outside your proper relationships, family, nation, and just serve yourself, you become like a tumor.
Because a tumor is just a bunch of cells doing their own thing, right?
Right.
They've stopped listening to the body.
Exactly. They take resources, but they don't contribute. And he argues the universe, like a body, has an immune system. If you're in your proper position, the universe sends you energy. It helps you.
If you're not.
If you isolate yourself, the universe treats you like a pathogen. It actively strives to expel you.
So when people feel like they have bad luck, or things just aren't working out, he's saying that's not random. That's the universe's antibodies attacking you.
That is precisely the argument. It's a kind of cosmic physics. If you at the center turn the next layer, the family turns with you. But it takes immense energy to move the whole cosmos on your own if you aren't locked into the gears.
Okay, so this brings me to the part that I found, really challenging. This paradox of freedom. Because we usually think more power, better life. That equals more freedom. But this text says the exact opposite.
It does. It flat out says that good people, especially leaders, have far less freedom than bad people.
And the example he uses is the President of the United States.
It's a great example to test the theory. Think about it, most powerful person in the world, right?
Supposedly.
But can he just decide one morning, you know what, I'm sleeping in, gonna catch a movie?
Absolutely not. The world would go crazy. The market might crash.
Can he ignore a crisis at 3 in the morning?
No way.
Well,
every single minute is accounted for. He has zero privacy.
Exactly. The source says high position equals high responsibility, which equals zero personal whim. He belongs to the nation. He has, in a very real sense, no freedom.
And then you contrast that with his other example, the housewife. Now, you have to remember, this is from 1982.
Right, the gender roles reflect the time, for sure.
But he says she technically has the freedom to just walk out, ignore the kids, and go have fun.
She can. There's no Secret Service stopping her. But the text asks, is she good if she does that?
And the answer is a hard no, because she's violating her position. He basically defines bad as anyone who abandons their position for their own desires.
And good is anyone who benefits others. He says that's universal. Good in Korea is good in America, is good in Moscow.
I liked the artistic neighbor example. That one felt very real.
The singer, yeah.
The guy who's so inspired he just has to sing at the top of his lungs at 4 in the morning.
That's his freedom, right. He's expressing himself.
But his neighbors want to kill him.
Because his individual freedom is colliding with the neighborhood's freedom to sleep. And this sets up the next big theme, the hierarchy of conflict.
Right. What happens when these freedoms collide? Individual versus family. Nation versus the world.
The rule is strict. The freedom of the smaller level must be subordinated to the freedom of the larger level. Always.
And this is where he brings in the Falkland Islands War, which was happening at that exact time.
He uses it as a live example. Britain and Argentina are both prioritizing their national freedom.
But in doing so, they're shattering world freedom.
Exactly. He argues there should be a world-level authority to step in and arbitrate, just like a federal government steps in between states. But then he brings it right back down to his own personal situation.
Yeah, for context, at this time he was facing a major tax trial in the U.S.
Right. And he was eventually convicted. But in this speech, he frames it not as a legal issue, but as a collision of freedoms. He calls himself God's ambassador in Satan's territory.
So in his mind, he's operating on the level of God's freedom, which is the highest. But that's clashing with secular freedom or national law.
Precisely. So when he's persecuted, he doesn't see it as, I broke a rule. He sees it as, the lower level is attacking the higher level because it can't understand it.
Okay, so let's pivot to the solution then. Because he's not just describing a problem, he has a very specific action plan. He calls it home church.
This is the practical application. And home church isn't a building, it's a method. Each member is assigned a specific area of 360 homes.
360 homes. I mean, that's a small town. That is a massive amount of door knocking.
It is. And the member is supposed to act as the clan messiah for that area.
He uses this tree metaphor to explain why it's so important, especially with his own legal troubles going on.
Yes, the roots and the trunk. He's addressing the anxiety his followers must have been feeling. He says, look, he's the trunk, but the 360 homes, the home church areas, those are the roots.
So even if the trunk gets damaged?
If the roots are secure, the tree survives. He's telling them, don't worry about me, worry about your 360 homes.
But how do you actually do it? It's not just handing out pamphlets, is it? There's this whole theological thing with Cain and Abel.
Right. So this is central to his whole theology. The idea is that the first murder, Cain killing Abel, is the root of all human conflict. To fix the world, you have to reverse that.
So instead of Cain killing Abel, they have to unite.
More than that. The Abel figure has to win over the Cain figure through love and service.
Okay, so who is who in this scenario?
The church member is in the role of Abel. The people in those 360 homes, the skeptical neighbors, they are Cain.
Wait, so the member goes in assuming these people are Cain. That sounds a little adversarial.
It starts that way, but the mission is to win them over, serve them, sweat for them, love them. And the text says, when Cain finally humbles himself and unites with Abel, Satan is expelled from that area.
It's like an exorcism by community service.
Essentially, yeah. And once Satan is out, God can finally enter that space. You are literally building a base for the kingdom of heaven in those 360 homes.
And it goes beyond just the living neighbors, right? This gets into the spirit world stuff.
This is where it gets really metaphysical. He claims that if you're working hard in your area, your own ancestors and even famous saints will come down from the spirit world to physically help you.
He has this metric for success that I found, well, it's intense, the shoe metric.
Yes. Are your shoes wearing out? He suggests the number of pairs of shoes you wear out walking your area is your record of accomplishment.
That's a very tangible goal.
Yeah.
Show me the soles of your shoes.
It's all about that physical effort. He actually scolds them a bit in the speech, saying, you want to study, you want to get married? No, wear out your shoes first.
Which brings us to the ultimate motivation for all this. Why do it? The source puts this really unique twist on it.
This is maybe the most radical theological point in the whole text. The ultimate mission is to liberate God.
Liberate God, as if God is the one who's trapped.
The text describes God as suffering. He's blocked. He created the universe to express his love, but because of human selfishness, all those walls we build, God's love can't flow. He's effectively powerless.
So when we pray, God, please help me, the source implies God is saying, I can't, you're blocking me.
Or worse, he talks about the prayer paradox. Will God answer a self-centered prayer that hurts others?
He gives that extreme example of a white supremacist praying for a world without black people.
A truly terrible, selfish prayer. And he says God will absolutely not grant that. In fact, God will punish the person who prays it to try and correct their thinking.
So if you're praying for something selfish and your life starts getting worse, the source is saying that might actually be God trying to wake you up.
That's the argument. Stop asking God to save you. You go out, you do home church, you remove the blockage, and then God is free to enter. Only then can he help us.
It's a total inversion of the usual dynamic. We have to save God first.
And he feels like the time is right, the momentum is shifting. He says, it's May 1st, springtime is here.
And the space shuttle. He uses the Columbia.
Yeah, which had just flown. He uses it as a symbol that the passage between the physical world and the spirit world is finally opening up.
It's really interesting how he blends that ancient theology with the most cutting-edge tech of his time.
It reinforces the idea that this is a structural reality. It's physics.
So let's bring this all back to the listener. What's the core takeaway here for someone who probably isn't planning to knock on 360 doors tomorrow?
Well, the core argument is about alignment. It's saying you can't protect yourself by building a fortress around your own ego. That's the path of the tumor. The universe will just cut you out.
Instead, you have to find your proper position.
Right. You anchor yourself in your family, your community, your nation. You serve the larger whole. And the promise is that when you do that, the universe itself protects you.
Because you're no longer a foreign body. You're a vital organ.
Exactly. The energy of the universe supports the person who supports the universe.
It really forces you to look at your own life and ask, am I acting like an eye, trying to live on an elbow?
Yeah.
Am I demanding a kind of freedom that actually just makes me useless?
Or complaining about a lack of freedom when really I should be embracing the responsibility of my position.
And that final thought that God is waiting on us.
It really puts the ball in our court. It suggests the suffering in the world isn't because God is indifferent, but because God is handcuffed by our own division.
That is a provocative thought to leave you with. We usually look up and wait for a miracle. This source says, look down at your shoes, start walking, and make the miracle happen yourself.
And maybe wear out a few pairs along the way.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll catch you on the next Deep Dive.